There is one climb other than the final one on today's stage. The Puerto de la Rasa comes just after 100 kilometres of racing, as the intermediate sprint at the foot of it and rises to 1,390 metres. The Alto de Moncalvillo is only 100 metres higher, but it's much nastier. Just over 8 kilometres at an average of just over 9%, but contributing to that average and likely to split the favourites are stretches as steep as 15% between 3 and 2 kilometres to go. It should be a fascinating finale.
7.5 kilometres to go. The breakaway has been caught. The GC battle will also take a stage win. The greed of the peloton has prevailed today, and the big men are coming to the fore on stage 8 of this intriguing Vuelta as the GC reshuffles, shuffles, takes shape, changes. It's going to have another big shake-up today, no doubt about it.
Yeah, this is it. This is probably likely for Omar Fraley now is distanced after his aggressive ride. There's nothing to be done now. But yeah, I think probably most of the riders here, although it's been a very hard race till now, this is a deciding moment on GC as Movistar now are peeling off riders. They're coming into the crux of the race. And I think by the end of the day, look at Enric Mas. Look at the way he's pedaling. He's just so fluid. Marc Soler on his wheel. Carapaz looking really confident. He stands up in the red jersey there. There's Hugh Carthy. He's there. He had his moments before, but he's still good. He's still up there. But I'd say that at the moment, it's Enric Mas and Carapaz who are looking really good.
Nelson Oliveira was the rider who just did his turn on the front. That leaves Jorge Arcas. And then Alejandro Valverde. Look at the speed at which riders are just being shelled out of the back now. UAE team members, they've already lost Davide Formolo from the pack. That's another one going, Ivo Oliveira. Dylan van Baarle still there for the Ineos Grenadiers. So too is Ivan Sosa. Then comes the red jersey, as you said, David, of Richard Carapaz. Alexander Vlasov, a rare sighting of him, the rider from Astana. He has one good day and one bad day, seemingly, at the Vuelta. But he has fallen out of proper GC contention, starting the day in 21st place, 6:34 down. He's going to have some golden days if he wants to even threaten the podium places at this rate. Esteban Chavez also having a good day so far, and he's still there. As Ineos Grenadiers just reposition themselves, and Movistar beginning to disintegrate at the front now. Sweeping to the fore as Alejandro Valverde just opens up a little bit of a gap, and Andre Amador, unzipped, is called upon with Dylan van Baarle just to keep an eye on the former world champion. Look at this.
And Valverde goes. So that's the first attack. And now look, you watch his teammates just drift now back. I think everybody now understands that Alejandro Valverde is at his best, and we saw him race before the rest day just how strong he was in the last few days. I think Alejandro Valverde is now a threat. You wouldn't see Robert Hessink there for Jumbo-Visma actually making a concerted effort to hunt him down with Amador on his wheel. Everyone's there. No one's letting him go. So, and that's part of the tactic for Movistar, is to soften up all those teammates, those helpers, those domestics behind, because that will then open up the opportunity for Enric Mas or Marc Soler to counter-attack.
Yeah, that was an opening skirmish from Valverde, wasn't it? Forcing Robert Hessink onto the front. And it's interesting to see Jumbo-Visma, who of course have relinquished the race lead, assert themselves ahead of the Ineos Grenadiers and take the responsibility for Primož Roglič of pegging Alejandro Valverde back. Only around about 25 riders left in this race at the moment, and still over 6 kilometres of this savage climb to come. And in 3Ks they hit the maximum gradient of 15%.
Oh. 3Ks till then, and I think that's why we're not seeing anybody counter-attack yet, although we're now seeing you're down to final teammates, if you like, before the leaders are hitting the front, and there in third place is the absolute leader of the race, Richard Carapaz. Then behind him, Enric Mas. You've got Alejandro Valverde, who slips into fourth position behind Enric Mas, his teammate, and then you've got Hugh Carthy. Now here is interesting, Astana are losing control. Hats off to Robert Hessink. I mean, he's been doing this all year. He is a rider that Jumbo-Visma rely upon to do the dog's body work to a certain degree, and then they leave it to the... And there he goes, he peels off Robert Hessink. So now there's going to be this little bit, but look at that, there's still 4 Jumbo-Vismas there. So they've still got strength in numbers, and they arguably are the team. He's not giving up Robert Hessing. He peels off and nobody else is willing to take it over because there are no other teams that have the riders to take control. So I think Robert Hessing was peeling off, expecting other teams to maybe do something. They didn't, so he will carry on.
Fascinating. Everybody poised there. Michael Woods steering Hugh Carthy towards the front. Woods looks like he's taking control and going off the front now. There's a general repositioning. Carthy trying to get on the wheel of his teammate. Sweeps past Alejandro Valverde, and EF Pro Cycling take things up at the front. Now, we know what kind of form Michael Woods is in. We saw that yesterday. Hessing, though, dropped for good this time. That'll be it.
This is very interesting. See, this is the confidence that EF have in Hugh Carthy, that they're putting Michael Woods, although Michael Woods is off GC, he's not there, as Valverde now pulls off. So look at that. That's how deep Michael Woods is going. And the stage winner from yesterday, when he's your domestique, your helper, the person that's setting up, Hugh Carthy now is a full-blown leader at the Vuelta a España.
Sergio Henao from UAE Team Emirates goes. And Ineos have whittled through their numbers as well. Richard Carapaz in the red leader's jersey is all on his own at the front, sitting on the train of EF Pro Cycling in a group that is now not much bigger than around about 15 riders, and still continually riders losing contact at the back of the race. This time it's Jonas Vingegaard, the young Danish rider who's here to support Primož Roglič. Carthy looking very lucid, talking, not on the radio, but just talking to Michael Woods there. Looks very in control, Carthy, at the moment.
Looks really in control, albeit not looking very in control physically regards the way he rides a bike. Yet he is there, he's dictating the pace, he's looking around, he's deciding. He's got Michael Woods, his teammate, who is ripping that group to pieces. And when he looks over his shoulder, he's got the race leader, he's got Primož Roglič on the race leader's wheel. He is now at the very heart of the race, and he is one of the key players.
Fascinating. Nick Schultz goes, and so too does David de la Cruz. At the front, though, are they setting it up for Hugh Carthy? He sits in second place on GC. Where will he be at the end of stage 8? Just over 4 kilometres of this climb to go, and in around about 1 kilometre they'll hit the steepest section. So the work is not done for Michael Woods after his fantastic victory yesterday. He's working in a pure domestique role today for Hugh Carthy. Felix Großschartner dropping away, the Border-Hansgrohe man who's slipping a little bit in GC, started the day 1:30 down in 6th place. He'll be losing time to a number of other riders today.
Yeah, this is becoming every 100 metres a more certain GC race. You can see now when we look at the helicopter shot, just panning forward, there are just 10, 11, 12 riders left, and all of them are key players now for the overall. And this is now becoming a very, very important moment in the Vuelta a España.
Oh, Soler has been dropped from that group now. In the company of Mikel Nieve, he's in the Valverde group. He's on the front of that little quartet of riders. The Guillaume Martin is in. That's it. They're about 20 seconds down. Clément
Champoussin. Is that Hugh Carthy going?
No, Michael Woods. Yeah, Hugh Carthy's attacked. Woods has done all he can, and that is a long, long way out. And look who goes with him, Sepp Kuss. Two completely contrasting styles, but two of the strongest climbers in this bike race.
Well, this is a phenomenal ride from Hugh Carthy for a few reasons. He's young, he's never been in this position before, actually given leadership like this, and then had a rider like Michael Woods. The stage winner from yesterday set him up, and he's in second in GC. They could have easily made the decision to be conservative and wait and do the old day by day and just pan out for as long as, and hold defensively for as long as possible. And yet, no, they've decided to be aggressive today. And hats off to Hugh Carthy for having the confidence in his team to do that as well.
Martin goes over the top of Carapaz now to try and get across. Will that reignite things as Alexander Vlasov, who's less important in the GC, goes after the Irishman? Hugh Carthy looking over his shoulder there to check the gap, and there was a gap, and there was no immediate reaction from the red jersey, who was immediately threatened by Hugh Carthy's attack. Don't forget, Sepp Kuss has lost time in GC. He's no longer up there. He's 9 minutes 19 seconds down.
Let's see how fast Dan Martin gets across, because I think that will decide things. And if he can go across on his own or other riders come across, we saw him sprint off, and that's very much a Dan Martin move. He has that explosivity. He can just spring out, has that kick. But at the same time, if it doesn't make a difference, let's look back as that camera pans back. No, he's not making the difference. He's got one rider with him, and let's see how far that group is behind them. Not far. So it was a very explosive move, but it's not bringing Hugh Carthy back yet.
No, Dan Martin's being brought back. Chavez is being dropped, or has been dropped. He's all on his own, and he's seeing that group of favourites go under the 3 kilometres to go banner. And you can see as they go past that switchback now, and Carthy's out of the saddle, they're about to hit the very steepest slopes of all. For the next kilometre, this climb's brutal, and Wout Poels is beginning to struggle now. Much better day for Wout Poels, but he's beginning to lose contact with the rear wheel of Enric Mas in this red jersey group. Carapaz is having to take the responsibility. They're all sitting on the wheel of the man who leads the Vuelta now by 18 seconds to Hugh Carthy, with Sepp Kuss looking ominously Sepp Kuss-like, just sitting on the wheel of the man in pink. He won't ride Kuss. He's not there to help Hugh Carthy. He's there to mark him.
And it's so hard to tell. I mean, for us on TV who have grown to know him in the last 18 months, Sepp Kuss, we can never read when he always looks good. And when he's bad, it just comes from nowhere. I think for the peloton as well, the racers that race them, they have no idea. And they also don't know whether he's just there protecting his teammate there in second place. As Carapaz looks over the shoulder and sees that teammate, Primož Roglic. Sepp Kuss is a bit of an enigma.
In the meantime, that's a very strong bit of riding from Richard Carapaz, who, on the appearance of what we just saw, is bringing them all back to Hugh Carthy at the moment. So the attack for now has been nullified, and Sepp Kuss takes that opportunity and he attacks now. And Carthy, having gone very deep now, what's he got left as Carapaz sweeps past him? And is Carthy just gone a bit now as Primož Roglic goes away from the British rider as well? This is a big moment for Hugh Carthy. Did he gamble too soon? Dan Martin goes after him.
Wow, look at how fast Carapaz is going. He has been waiting. He's just been watching everybody. The difference he's just made is enormous, and he's just flown by Sepp Kuss. There's only Primož Roglic that can stay with him. Carapaz is taking this to the line. He's timed his effort. He is riding a Grand Tour race in the sense that he's not playing games. He will just wait to watch, and when he goes, he will take it to the finish line.
Carthy battling on, hasn't lost contact with those two just yet, but with every pedal stroke it seems to get harder. And Dan Martin will soon be across to the rider from EF Pro Cycling. Enric Mas, after all that work, there's no Marc Soler, there's no Alejandro Valverde, and there's no Enric Mas right at the front of the race.
It's taken this long through that climb for them to get to that point where they are now the 5 best riders in this bike race. And it's not just about today's stage, these are likely the 5 best riders, as we have now attack from the Astana rider. And that's a strong attack.
But he's a strong rider. He's been one of the emerging names in 2020, taking that brilliant victory on the top of Mont Ventoux in the Mont Ventoux Challenge that really blasted his name. Alexander Vlasov is one of the discoveries of this year, and we've been waiting so far till stage 8 to see just what this Russian rider is capable of. And he's 6 minutes down in the general classification, but if they let him go now and he rides to a stage win and takes a minute or so here, well, that's a big ask, but it's evidence that Vlasov is not out of this general classification race just yet.
Right now, he's now got to take this opportunity. This is a chance for him to at least get some confidence back. He could win this stage. They're going to hesitate behind because they don't see him as a GC threat yet.
Not yet. So Vlasov has been given the freedom to attack, and the others are watching each other at the moment. The green jersey, Dan Martin, Hugh Carthy, still in the mix, and if they are going to be battling for second place, don't forget there are time bonuses available for second and third, and that'll come into play. They're so tightly packed in the general classification, those 4 riders. Vlasov, though, as we said, starting the day 6 minutes and 34 down in 21st place, but riding away here. As Primož Roglic goes after the Russian now. Carapaz the best able to respond, and Dan Martin going after that red jersey. Sits down, gets up again, battles on, it's hard. Carthy now beginning to succumb for the pace he set, but look at Roglic. Look how quickly he's got across to Vlasov. That looked impossible a few seconds ago, but Roglic has done it, shuts him down, gets on his wheel, goes straight past him, and only Carapaz is in the same ballpark at the moment as through the Flamme Rouge they go, and Dan Martin battling on, holding on to the whole hope of closing the gap to that red jersey and doing a very good job of it. This is the second or third time that Martin's had to go so deep.
The reason Dan Martin sat down was he was putting it in the big ring. He had to sit down, take the pressure off the chain, put it in the big ring, and that's what he's done. So you can see he's battling back on, but it's not because he was weak. He was having to strengthen, get the bigger gear on and go for this. Roglic has played his card. Carapaz has responded. Vlasov, unfortunately, has now been caught by two of the biggest bike racers in the current peloton. Dan Martin, meanwhile, is just giving everything he's got, but you're dealing now against Richard Carapaz, who now attacks, who counters Roglic.
Oh, they're pretty closely matched though, aren't they, these two? Vlasov battling on for third place and Dan Martin trying to limit his losses to these two, acknowledging perhaps that they've got the better of him. And look at Roglic go! He just drops Carapaz when he has to, and that is the race-winning move. Roglic powering away, Carapaz still holding him in sight just about. Roglic checks. Is he going to take win number 2 after his victory on stage 1, after those disappointments of the last couple of days, either side of the rest day where he lost the lead and has lost a bit of time in the general classification. Starts today 30 seconds down on Richard Carapaz, but look, the climbing isn't done just yet, and Carapaz is closing the gap to the green jersey. It's not over, this.
I know, it's not. These two, it's like battle royale between the two of them. This is what happens when you have two riders of this caliber just matching each other. Roglic, he does this moment look like he's got the upper hand, but they really are. And Carapaz, look at him. I think he's coming back.
Well, the head bows. It's difficult to tell from that shot. There's a few seconds gap there. I think Roglic should have this now. Carapaz, though, will be content, I think, to limit his losses, take 6 seconds of the time bonus if he finishes in second place, which surely now he will do as Roglic gets out of the saddle and sprints away. It's going to be another win at the Vuelta a España for the man in the points jersey. It's not going to be enough to swap for the red jersey just yet, but it's a sign of things to come. There'll be 10 seconds for the win. Just that autumnal sky behind him, beautifully framed up, beautifully executed. A beautiful win from a strong, strong champion defending his win at the Vuelta last year. Roglic has done it again, takes 10 seconds, and look at that gap now. The clock is ticking over. And I think Carapaz is going to be able to defend the jersey with a few seconds to spare. But Roglic goes right on his coattails, breathing down his neck, and a great performance from Dan Martin to leapfrog past Hugh Carthy, holding on to his general classification hopes. Alexander Vlasov, resurgent. I don't think we've seen the last of him. He finishes in 4th place, and Hugh Carthy will look at what he did today, take heart from how he attacked, but perhaps learn a lesson for stages to come. That's it. Carthy crosses the line just ahead of Wout Poels, and there's the white jersey of Enric Mas. After all that work that Movistar did, they weren't even in the top 5 at the end of the day. Roglic, though, if there were any doubts, and they were being voiced perhaps ever so quietly, he's expunged them entirely on stage 8.
Primoz Roglic, we are accustomed to watching his team deliver him. Today he used the red jersey, the leader of the bike race, as his own helper who set him up. He wants to win this Vuelta a España. This isn't about today's stage. This isn't about that green jersey. It's about winning this race overall and defending his title from last year.
So let's get to the gaps. Roglic had 13 seconds on the line over Carapaz. Factor in the bonus differential, 10 for first place, 6 for second, and that's a 17-second gain. Dan Martin picked up 4 for third place, more than enough for him to overtake Hugh Carthy in the standings, even without the 14-second lead he had on the road. Alexander Vlasov and Wout Poels were either side of Carthy. Enric Mas couldn't capitalise on Movistar's strong team showing. He and Sepp Kuss came in together, the last men within a minute of the stage winner. Of the top 7 at the start of the day, Felix Großschartner lost the most today, just over 2 minutes, but that was no disgrace given the difficulty of the final climb and the speed at which Roglic rode it.
Was let's say quite a boring, slow start, but then the pace went up, and it was super fast and hard after the second last climb. On the last one, actually I did the first time in my life, so I didn't know it. It was just what I could saw from the profile. Hard climb, and but then it's a good opportunity. You have to go if you want to win. So it's more going with the feeling than saying that I will go.
Was it very important for you to win today after you lost the jersey?
Yeah, it's just I always like to win. So if there is a small opportunity, definitely I take it. But it was super hard anyway today, and luckily I had the legs, and I'm happy to win the stage today.
That's the second appearance this welter of the ski jump celebration, for those of you keeping count. It's reserved for stage wins, not jersey presentations, so just a wave of the cuddly toy when he got green. No mountain points for the mountains leader today. Richard Carapaz is now level with Sepp Kuss behind Guillaume Martin. And although Enric Mas lost time, David Gaudu lost more, so Mas's lead in the white jersey race increases. And remarkably, the top 7 is back to the same names from stage 1, with Esteban Chavez moving up by having cracked later and lost less than Marc Soler. Felix Großschartner stays 6th, while Enric Mas holds 5th. Then the order changes. Hugh Carthy slips from 2nd to 4th, 16 seconds behind Dan Martin. Martin's been leapfrogged too. He's 15 seconds behind Primož Roglic, while Roglic is now 13 seconds from Carapaz. And it's starting to look like a race between the former and current red jersey wearers.
¿Sorprendió la fuerza del ataque de Roglic?
Bueno, sí, ¿no? Al final ha sido una etapa bastante movida, ¿no? Y bueno, hemos visto a un Roglic bastante fuerte. Pero bueno, seguimos en la pelea.
¿Contento por tener el maillot o decepcionado por...?
No, bueno, la verdad que ha sido un mano a mano bastante bonito, ¿no? Y bueno, eso me anima mucho a mí porque hace que sea la carrera más divertida y sobre todo pues para el espectador y tanto como para nosotros también, ¿no? Mostrando el buen nivel que ahora mismo tenemos.
¿Te esperas 2 días más tranquilo?
Sí, bueno, no, yo creo que ahora bueno, se vienen un par de días tranquilos, aparentemente, pero bueno, no, es carrera y no sabemos qué nos espera.